Hey class, this is the video for your math assignment on April 30th. Today is the last day that we are going to be working with number lines and fractions. So make sure that you have your sharp pencil, make sure that you have your math workbook. That's what we'll be using today. We're going to be doing pages 597 and 598 together, and then you will have page 600 to finish on your own. And this is also written on the assignment page for LMS. So get your supplies and we will get started. Here we are on page 597 and we are ready to get started with our practice page. So here we go, practice it. Read the directions. Label each unknown with the fraction of the whole that it represents. So let's take a look at what this number line already tells us. Okay, we see that we're starting at 0, and pretty much all of the number lines that we're going to be working with will begin with 0. So that's good to know. At the other end of our number line, we have what I like to call the big 1, which is the number over itself. So we have 6 over 6, which is the same as 1 whole. Think about if we had our bar fractions, and if we had 6 1/6, we would have 1 whole bar fraction. And that's what it's wanting us to do when we label this number line. Notice how from this tick mark to this tick mark, how much space is that of the number line? It is 1/6 of the number line. From this tick mark to this tick mark is how much of the number line? Again, it is 1/6. Now, if I asked you for how much this was altogether, you would tell me that there are 2/6. But all they're asking you to do is say, this amount here is 1/6. This amount is 1/6 of the number line. This amount is also 1/6 of the number line. So this amount, well, they gave me the line already, and this amount are also 1/6. Now, if we count them all up, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1/6. Together, that would give us 6/6. And if we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yep, we did it correctly. Let's move on to number 5. It's the same thing. We have a denominator of 3. Let's check our big one. Yep, it's 3 out of 3. So if from this tick mark to this tick mark, it's 1/3. This tick mark to this tick mark will also be 1/3. It's 1 out of the 3 total pieces. We have 1/3, 1/3, which would leave this last amount to also be 1/3. Together, it would give us 1, 2, 3 thirds. Now, for number 6, 7, and 8, they actually want us to label each tick mark. Here we were just counting the pieces. Here we're labeling how much is this. You know, what is the amount that it's marking with this tick mark. So let's see what we have. What are they already telling us? We have 0 and we have 2 halves. So we know that if the denominator here is 2, the denominator here also has to be 2. If 2 is the total number of pieces that we have, right? We have a piece here, we have a piece here. The amount that we've measured up to here is 1 out of 2 pieces. Here's one piece, here's the other piece. 1 out of 2, or 1/2. Number 7, start with 0. We have a 4. I see that this first mark is marking 1 out of 4 pieces. So if this is 1 out of 4 pieces, the second amount would be 2 out of 4 pieces. And we know that our denominator is already 4, so the denominator here is also 4. It definitely is a pattern, and that's something that you can hopefully see, is that it goes from 1/4 to 2/4, which means this would be 3/4, And the last tick mark would be 4/4 or 1 whole. All right, move on to number 8. We start with 0, and our 1 whole is 8/8. If we jump back 1 tick mark, we see that this is 7/8. I see that my denominator for all of these is 8. I'm gonna go fill that in, and I'm gonna work backwards this time. This is 7/8, which means this tick mark must represent 6/8. They give us 5/8, which means here is 4/8, 3/8, 2/8, and 1/8. Friends, something I want to point out I noticed is really interesting is notice this tick mark that I'm highlighting on each number line. Notice how each of them is marked at the same spot, but they all have different names. This one was 1/2, this one was 2/4, and this one was 4/8. I'm giving you a little bit of a heads up, but tomorrow we're going to talk about what we call equivalent fractions, which means fractions that have different denominators and numerators, but they represent the same amount. Notice how 1/2, 2/4, and 4/8 all are the same spot on a number line. All right, let's do the last 2 problems here on this page. It says, write the point that represents each fraction. So number 9, 2/6 is represented by point what? So I see that we have 4 letters. They want us to find out which one is 2/6. So I see that not every tick mark on this number line is labeled, and I want to do that the same way that I did it for these number lines. I start with what I know. I have 6/6. Looks like my denominator is 6. Very good. I had 6/6. 1 less than that would be 5/6. Good, and then it's 4/6, so I know I'm on the right track. I have 3, 2, and 1. Now I just have to find what they ask. 2/6 is represented by point C. Again, number 10, 4/4 is represented by point A, B, C, or D. Friends, do I have to go label out this number line? No, they've already shown me where 4/4 is at. 4/4 is at 1 whole, and that is represented by letter D. All right, we're doing great. Let's turn the page. Now we are going to apply it. Number 11 says, there are 6 students in science lab. 4 of the students are girls. Label the fraction on the number line which represents the number of students that are girls. So let's first write the fraction. There are 6 total students, and I see that my denominator here is also 6. 6 total students, and how many of them are girls? 4. 4/6 is the point on the number line that I want to label. So I'm gonna go through, I'm going to label my denominator for every tick on this number line. I have 6/6. 1 less than 6/6 would be 5/6, 4/6, 3, 2, and 1/6. And it wanted me to label the number on the number line, which represents the number of students that are girls. So we really want to find 4/6. I'm just gonna circle it. You could put a star above it to show me that you know this tick mark stands for 4/6. Number 12, Mac drank 2/4 of his fruit smoothie. Label the fraction on the number line, which represents the portion of fruit smoothie Mac drank. My denominator is 4. Label all of my tick marks with the denominator of 4. Hey, is there a way that I can know without having to look at my 1 whole? Sure, if I covered that up, I notice that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces between 0 and my whole. Again, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So I can be sure that my denominator of 4 is correct. I'm looking for what amount? 2/4. This would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Here is 2/4. Number 13, a walking trail is 8 miles long. Mabel has walked 2 more miles than Sherry. Sherry has walked 3/8 of the trail. Label the fraction on the number line which represents the part of the trail that Mabel walked. So this one's making us think just a little bit. Mabel walked 2 more miles than Sherry. Sherry walked 3/8. And Mabel walked 2 more miles than Sherry. Okay, so we want to do 3/8 plus 2 more miles would give us 5/8. That's the point that they want us to find. When we add fractions, we just add straight across on the numerator as long as our denominator is the same, which it is. So let's find 5/8. Label all of my denominators with 8. That doesn't change. And then I just count up with my numerator, just like I would on any number line. There's 5/8. All right, we're almost done, 2 left. Number 14, partition the number line into 6ths. Label each point on the number line. So this is one where they don't give us any starting or ending tick marks. We do it all on our own. So we know that our leftmost tick mark is always going to be 0. We know that our last tick mark is always going to be 1 whole, or if it's 6ths, it's 6/6. That's 1 whole. Fabulous. So if I have 6/6 for my whole, that means I need to have 5 tick marks. 5 tick marks will give me 6 sections. It will give me 6/6. So I like to, if I'm drawing 5, if I'm drawing an odd number, first I split it in half, then I split this into thirds, and then I split this side into thirds. It kind of reminds me of when we did our paper folding. So we have 0, here we have 1/6, we have 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, and finally 5/6, and 6/6, which is 1 whole. And I'm just gonna let you take a look at mine for a second because yours should look just like mine. Do your best to keep an equal amount of space between each tick mark. I know it's a little bit hard, but I think that you can do it. And finally, number 15, why are number lines helpful models to use to represent fractions? So we've used, our bar fractions, we've used number lines, we've drawn them as a part of a set, but why is a number line helpful? Well, the main reason I think it's helpful is because you can divide a number line into any number of equal parts that you want, right? With the bar fractions, we can really only divide this bar into parts that are already in the set. So I have, 3/3, or I have 4 1/4. What if I wanted to divide this up into like 27ths? Would that be easy for me? No, because I don't have the little pieces to go with it. If I wanted to divide a number line into 27ths, could I do it? Yeah, it would be tricky to keep it neat, but you could very easily do that. If you wanted 27 parts, you would just draw 26 tick marks. So number lines are helpful models because you can divide the whole into any number of equal parts. You can divide the whole into any number of equal parts. Check my sentence, make sure I have a period, and make sure that I have a capital Y. So my friends, today you're gonna do page 600 by yourself. This is gonna look really similar to what we did together just now. Make sure that you are nice and neat when you're labeling your number line, and you are working really hard. Let me know if you have questions on this. You're doing a great job. Go Dolphins.